Good morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to go over lesson 24. Make sure you are completing your assignments as soon as you finish watching my video. Now, touch the letters A-L in part 1. Listen carefully. The letters A-L go together and make the sound all. What sound? All. You're going to read words that have the letters A-L in them. You're going to say the sound for the underlined part and then read the word. Touch the first word in column A. What sound? All. What word? Alter. Next word. What sound? All. What word? Falter. Next word. What sound? All. What word? Calling. Column B, boys and girls. First word. What word? Salty. Next word. What word? Almond. Next word. What word? Install. Let's look at part 2, boys and girls. Please follow along. First word. What sound? Ooh. What word? While. Next word. What sound? What word? Weather. Next word. What sound? Ooh. What word? Weather. Next word. What sound? What word? Thrash. Next word. What sound? I. What word? Slightly. Next word. What sound? I. What word? Bright. Next word. What sound? I. What word? Tightly. Next word. What sound? Ooh. What word? Wheeling. Next word. What sound? What word? Together. Next word. What sound? A. What word? Faintly. Next word. What sound? E. What word? Agreed. Next word. What sound? What word? Faster. Next word. What sound? E. What word? Seemingly. Next word. What sound? E. What word? Feast. Next word. What sound? Ow. What word? Cloudy. Next word. What sound? What word? First. Next word. What sound? J. What word? Gently. Next word. What sound? J. What word? Emerging. Next word. What sound? S. What word? Placed. Next word. What sound? J. What word? Salvage. Now let's go ahead and touch part 3, boys and girls. We're going to go over what those words mean. Touch word number 1. What word? Protection. Something that guards is a protection. Touch word number 2. What word? Suggest. Something that gives a hint suggests. Touch word number 3. What word? Glance. To look at something quickly. Word number 4. What word? Breaker. A breaker is a big wave. Word number 5. What word? Venture. When you venture, you do something daring. Word number 6. What word? Emerge. When you emerge from a place, you come out of that place. Now let's go ahead and touch part 4. Everybody should be following along. First word. What word? Afternoon. Next word. What word? Patterns. Next word. What word? Flounder. Next word. What word? Mound. Next word. What word? Huge. Next word. What word? Hours. Next word. What word? Inspection. Next word. Jerking. Next word. Worse. Next word. Jagged. Next word. Ruffled. Next word. Horizon. Next word. Plumes. Next word. Wilder. Next word. Towing. Next word. Aboard. Next word. Spare. Next word. Bluff. Next word. Responded. Next word. Rolled. Next word. Forming. Next word. Continued. Next word. Gallons. Next word. Whistled. Next word. Designs. Next word. During. Next word. Flight. Next word. Impossible. Next word. Whipped. Next word. Evening. Next word. Believe. Next word. Neither. Next word. Slime. Next word. Already. Next word. Storm. Next word. Yards. Let's go ahead and continue with part 5, boys and girls. All of these words have more than one part. Touch word number 1. Word number 1 is injury. What word? Injury. What's the first part? In. What's the last part? E. The middle part is spelled J-U-R. What does that part say in the word? Get ready. Jur. So the parts are injury. Say the whole word. Injury. Word number 2 is announcement. What word? Announcement. What's the first part? And. What's the last part? Meant. The middle part is spelled N-O-U-N-C-E. What does that part say in the word? Nouns. So the parts are announcement. Say the whole word. Announcement. Word number 3 is investigation. What word? Investigation. What's the first part? In. What's the last part? Shun. The middle part is spelled V-E-S-T-I-G-A. What does that part say in the word? Get ready. Investigate. So the parts are in. Investigation. Say the whole word. Investigation. Word number 4 is procedures. What word? Procedures. What's the first part? Pro. What's the last part? Ers. The middle part is spelled C-E-D. What does that part say in the word? Seed. So the parts are procedures. Say the whole word. Procedures. Word number 5 is consistent. What word? Consistent. What's the first part? Con. What's the last part? Tent. The middle part is spelled S-I-S. What does that part say in the word? Sis. So the parts are consistent. Say the whole word. Consistent. Now, I will go ahead and read these sentences to start with the story. The judge gave approval for a police investigation. The announcement about the new procedures was not consistent with the earlier announcement. They ran an investigation on what caused the injury. We were surprised that they hadn't made the announcement yet. Their approval of plan was consistent with the way they voted earlier. Let's go ahead and begin with our story. We're on lesson 24. There was a line of dark clouds to the north, and there was a line of white caps on the horizon under the clouds. We're in it for now, Doris exclaimed. What are we going to do? Jane asked. Those waves are going to hit us in a few minutes. The women swam back to their boat, towing the spare air tank. They climbed aboard. Jane started the engine, and the boat began to move slowly along the reef. Jane explained, I don't know where to go. We've got to find some protection from that storm, but I don't see any protection. Let's keep moving along the reef, Doris suggested. Maybe we can find a place where the reef is high enough to protect the boat. Jane glanced back. The clouds were closer and the whitecaps seemed to be bigger and wilder. The old scow continued to move slow along the west side of the reef. Jane glanced back at the clouds again. Look, Doris said. Doris was pointing ahead. There seems to be a coral bluff ahead. Jane could barely see it. It looked like a great white mound emerging from the sea. The boat was about half a mile from the mound. I wish this boat could move faster, Jane shouted before Doris could respond. However, a gust of cold wind swept past the boat, making ruffled patterns in the water. The boat turned slightly when the wind hit it. Here it comes, Doris shouted. Jane could hardly hear Doris's voice above the wind. Already whitecaps were forming on the other side of the reef. The wind was blowing the tops of the waves into a fine spray. Jane felt the side of her face getting wet. She licked her lips. They were salty. The waves were now starting to roll over the low places along the reef. As the waves rolled under the boat began to rock from side to side. The rocking, which was gentle at first, became more violent. From time to time, one of the waves would splash against the side of the boat and send warm water streaming into the boat. Doris was bailing. The boat was only about 100 yards from the coral bluff now. However, the boat was moving quite slowly as it climbed over the waves, rolling them from side to side. If it gets worse, Doris yelled, we'll have to turn the front of the boat so that it faces the wind. We're going to flounder if we keep going in this direction. But the boat continued along the coral, and Doris continued to bail. Just before the boat was alongside in the coral mound, a huge breaker hit the side of the boat and dumped about 20 gallons of seawater into the boat. Bail, Jane shouted as she began to splash away from the boat with her hands. Now the boat was behind the mound. Huge breakers were smashing against the other side of the mound, sending plumes of spray into the air. But the boat was in a protected place. Doris tied a rope around part of the mound. Then she and Jane sat in front of the boat, close to the coral, as the surf pounded and the wind whistled through the designs in the coral.